So, hello, welcome to the Authentic Creative, expanding your capacity to feel good. I am very excited as always, but come on, it's Dana. So, Dana Schmit is a catalyst for transformation, specializing in intuitive sound healing and mindset coaching with a passion for serving successful, driven women who are, quotes, juggling it all. Using the profound power of sound healing, she guides groups and individuals to their own self healing, unlocking inner blockages, and promoting well being. Through her Storywork mindset coaching, she empowers women to tune into their limiting beliefs and actively rewire their subconscious to embody their potential. This unique combination of passive and active transformation work is a powerful alchemy to lasting change. Inspired by her own journey of transformation in sobriety and wellness, her passion for serving and empowering others shines through in every session as she creates a safe and nurturing space for growth and exploration. Dana offers virtual and in-person sound and coaching sessions, creating a safe space for self-discovery and transformative growth. So you can connect with her on Instagram at Dana Schmit, so DANASCHMIT _ for offerings and inspiration. Okay, guys, we did that.
We did it.
So, so much on my heart to share with you. Like I feel like there's just like a roller coaster of excitement going on in my whole body today. And I know that you have so much on your heart, and I just can't wait to hear what's going to come out of this conversation because we don't know.
We don't know. It could
And
be anything.
and I just want to acknowledge that we're both wearing our cute little cappy
Cap sleeve.
sleeve shirts. I also want to acknowledge that I'm part of my roller coaster excitement butterflies is because we're going to be rooming together in November for Kathy Heller's summit. And I
Yeah.
cannot wait to be in the hot tub with you and maybe do some healing stuff together. Who knows? Dana, if you guys don't know, I met her through Kathy Heller's World, and she's such a gift and she's such a soul sister. And we just were on a retreat together in Marina Del Rey. We were in West Hollywood together at a summit. We've been in Tarzana a couple times together doing healing work for a group of people, me doing the breath work and her doing the sound bath. So we've had some adventures and there's many more to come. I already know that. Look at your pearly white smile. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna let you talk.
Oh goodness. I'm so happy to be in friendship with you and be in conversation with you always. Siri, you are honestly so amazing. I'm always like, your light is so bright. It's just like a beacon. It's so good. I love it. I love
Thank
to
you
be in
for
your
that.
energy.
Thank you for that reflection, Dana, because that is my intention, as you know, is to be the lighthouse.
You are. You are such a lighthouse. So, yes, I
And
am
so are you.
very
And I'm
happy.
like the lighthouse over here with the rocks, and you're the lighthouse over there. And we're just like beaming
Boop, 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 boop,
signals to each other.
boop. Come in, come in.
Okay, so
Oh,
I want to start with like, where were you born?
so good.
Where were you born?
So I was born, so yeah, I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay. And
Mhm.
how long were you there for?
Till I was 3.
Okay. And then
And
you
then
moved to,
San Antonio, Texas.
okay.
My
And
mhm.
mm-hmm.
My dad was a dentist and he was also a huge golfer. He said golf was his faith. That was he actually died playing golf. Which is tragic and also kind of happy.
How old were you?
I was 29 when my dad passed away, playing golf on Easter Sunday
Oh my
with his family.
goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but we moved from Grand Rapids, Michigan to San Antonio so my dad could golf all seasons. That was the motivation.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, bless. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is so off topic. There's a rustling sound when you're moving.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
What is
just
11:11?
ah, okay, 11:11. Make a wish. We're gonna wish
Mm,
for the rustling sound because I don't want to ruin what you're sharing. This is really
yeah.
tender and beautiful. Okay,
Is this better?
it is.
Sit
Okay.
still.
Okay, so you were talking about your lovely dad and moving so he could golf and then him passing away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And he actually passed away a week after I met my husband to the day.
Right.
So it really it was such a beautiful experience to experience that so early with my husband and learn how we handle life
Yeah.
and
Oh
death
my
and
gosh. Yeah, and so it was like a gift that your
mm,
husband came in when he did. It was
mhm,
like ships passing in the night,
totally.
like handing over the baton, like, okay, when you walk your daughter down the aisle and you say,
Mm,
okay, I'm gonna pass her over now. It's like he literally was like,
mhm,
okay, and now you're gonna take care of her.
mm, mhm. Yeah.
Mm. And then you were telling me a story at the retreat when we were walking back from the beach. I don't
Yeah.
know if you want to share that story. I know we're kind
Yeah.
of skipping around,
We're kind
but
of skipping around, but
we
it's all
can
good. We
we
could
can
just
come back to it later. We can keep going with where you were.
Yeah. Well, at the retreat, Kathy was so raw because she had just lost her dad and she was sharing a lot of stories of synchronicities and ways that her dad was showing up in her life. And it's been 17 years now that my dad passed away. But interestingly, when I was at the retreat in Marina Del Rey was the last place I saw my dad. So that's
Mm.
kind of interesting. And I was with a friend that I hadn't seen since going to Rome a few months after I met my dad. I saw this friend that was happened to be in town. I was with my other friend. I was staying on at her place on her boat that I went to Rome with and went overseas with for my 30th birthday celebration right after my dad passed. And I'll share the story.
And can we just say that the boat was right outside of where the retreat was located,
Totally.
which you could never have planned if you tried.
I know. It was so cool. It was so cool. It was just, life lately has been this unfolding of synchronicities that have just been like the most beautiful scavenger hunt I could never have placed for myself. And
Wow.
there's so many synchronicities just like that. And even more profound when I get into my background with sound healing. Also, there's wild synchronicities there. But
I
at
want to
this
hear
part,
all of them.
yeah, absolutely. Well, at this particular event, yes, the story that I shared with you, when I last saw my dad was March and he passed away in April. And we'd realized that we were both going to be in Europe at the same time. It was my first visit to Europe, and he'd been several times and he loved Paris. So after he passed away, we went to Paris. We were already planning to go to Paris, and that was where I was going to meet up with my dad. And the whole time we were in Paris, I kept thinking, okay, dad, like, where are you? Show me your city. I want to see it. I want to see it through your eyes. He
How
felt so far.
many
And
how many years later after he passed were you back in Paris?
it was, let's see, he passed away April 7th, and we were there end of May. So just a few weeks, just a few
Okay.
weeks. Yeah.
So you never made it to Paris with him, but
Mm-mm.
3 weeks later you were
Yeah.
there after he had passed.
Yes.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah. And my best friend and I were on this 3 week European tour. We went to Paris, we went to a lake in Italy, we went to Florence, Rome, and we were in Paris. And this is where I was supposed to meet up with my dad. And I'm really trying to see him and trying to connect with him. And I didn't feel him. And I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
Um, and at the end of our trip, we were in Florence. And at this time, we were kind of over, I was over speaking another language, trying to navigate, all the things. I was just tired. And the night before, this one night, I had a dream about my dad. I dreamt that he was standing there and there were all these animals just jumping around, and he had this big grin on his face, and he wasn't speaking to me, but I said, but are you happy? Are you good? Are you okay? And I just see his big smile and all of these animals jumping around. And he attracted all these animals. He didn't particularly love animals, but they always, my brother's like very grumpy cat always laid in his lap and no one else's. So it was like, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I had this dream and I woke up feeling like I'd spent the night, visiting with my dad. And then that day we're touring around Florence, and like I said, so tired, so kind of done with navigating in a new language and just trying to figure it all out. And we're standing in line to see the David and the statue of the David. And this girl comes up to us and says, Jess, and my friend's name is Jess. She says, oh my gosh, Sally, or, and it turns out they were first cousins. And I mean, they knew each other. They were cousins, but it turns
Crazy.
out that her family was in town in Florence from Baltimore, and she was there. So they invited us over. It was her uncles and her cousins and her aunts and her big family. And they invited us over for dinner. And I had this knowing, we were at dinner, speaking English, telling family stories, laughing, and so grateful to have this moment in a foreign country. I mean, the world is so small, yet it's so big. And I knew my dad did that. And my dad has 5 sisters. So he has a big, boisterous, fun family that gets together, and it's, always a party. So I was like, okay, Dad, you saved the best. You saved the best thing. This is good. This is better than what I could have experienced in Paris. And it was just such a beautiful synchronicity and a beautiful moment. Um, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so gorgeous. I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that. And
Thank you.
so I'm just for some reason seeing a turtle when I close my eyes, and I have no idea what that means. Maybe it's about more about Marina Del Rey or something, or maybe it's about where you live, or maybe it's about taking it slow, slowing
Mm,
down. I mean, tell me, Dana, about slowing down. Because, okay, so we left off with your timeline
mm.
with your dad passing, and you were in living in Texas.
I was living in California at the time.
Okay.
So I grew up in San Antonio.
Yeah.
I went to college at University of North Texas, which is interesting because I literally just closed my eyes and pointed at a map. I didn't know where I was going.
Wow.
The first time I went to Denton, the town where the school is, was for orientation. So, and I had no car. I was just like trusting this is where I'm going. And it turns out it's a huge music school,
Oh,
which is so interesting. And I got to take classes like the science of sound, and that was really cool. Not knowing at all that how, I mean, I adored music. Always have loved music, but not knowing that I would get to learn to share music also,
yeah.
as well as enjoy it. And then I went on a student exchange program that landed me in California. And then I just kept getting pulled to the West Coast. I really wanted to go to the East Coast. And my exchange program brought me to California. And then I went into AmeriCorps, National Civilian Community Corps.
Wow.
And that's like our national Peace Corps. So it's 10 months of service, kids 18 to
Yeah.
24. And I was I was placed in San Diego because I knew sign language. And so the West Coast kept calling me in, and here I am still on the West Coast.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. So coming back to that turtle image with the slowing down, I just want to ask you about slowing down and what that
Yeah.
means to you right now in this moment in your life.
Mm, yeah. It's been on my heart. It's been on my mind. I am such a type A go, go, go control woman.
Hmm.
I am the breadwinner for our family. I have a corporate tech career. I am a just natural go, go, go. And this is what brought me to sound healing, because when I first experienced my first sound bath session, I didn't fall asleep. It was outside in a park in 2020, and I was up in the trees and I was just aware of all of the sounds around me. And when we came back from the meditation, I could not remember how I laid my body down. And I had never been out of my body and out of my head ever in my
Mm.
life. And I recently learned that, right, we talk about we have three brains, our brain in our head, our heart, and our stomach. And this is where, I mean, all of our cells have neurons, but this is where there's the most collection of neurons. And it's something like our brain and our logic brain can only process like 40
Bits of information at a
right,
time, but we're getting like 90 million or something crazy. Yeah.
20 million. So
Okay.
our body can absorb that. And this is what I love to live and talk at the intersection of science or of like material body and the beauty and miraculous tool that our body is, and our brain, and the feelings of magic and feelings of bigger than us. I love being at that intersection,
Me too.
right? And knowing that our body holds. So what is happening with this 20 million, what is it, 500 times in more information? What is happening to it? It's in us.
Mhm.
And we can't access it with our logic brain. So to me, slowing down is really tapping into the intelligence that our body is holding and has known and has always known. And our bodies are so divine.
This
I mean,
ancient wisdom,
yes.
it's not new. We're just coming back
No.
home to like the original knowing.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
can't, my natural, like I said, my natural state is like very logic, very type A, very busy,
Ambitious. Yeah.
ambitious, and juggling it all. And when I'm in that mode, I can't even see the beauty of my life around me, or
Mm.
access the beautiful data and all the nudges and all of this wonderful wisdom that is guiding me now. And the later half of my life, I feel I've received so much wisdom about the first half of my life being in force and control and masculine, and
Yeah.
needing to lean into this feminine of receiving the knowledge, receiving the beauty. So when I think about slowing down, it's slowing down, tuning in, and listening to the wisdom that my body has, that my higher self has, the guidance and the nudges that have always been in me, rather than seeking it outside of myself. And sound healing, I found, is such a powerful tool for me, because my brain is so naturally wanting to go down all the rabbit holes. So
Mhm.
sound healing for me really calms that down. And then the story work mindset coaching is so powerful also, in that,
Yeah. Walk me through it.
yeah,
How does it
absolutely.
work?
Absolutely. Well, mindset really is the story we tell ourselves about
Hmm.
ourselves. So when
Hmm.
somebody says to you, like, you got to change your
Identity.
mind,
Yeah.
yeah, like, you got to change your mindset. You need to calm down. Don't be so emotional. That never works. Like, it's not like you're saying, oh yeah, you're right, I do need to change my mindset, I do need to calm down. Like,
Yeah.
thank
Like
you for
someone
that.
just like, relax, relax. You're like, that doesn't feel good.
How, right? How do I do it? How do I do it? So the how is in the story work, in the observing the story, observing the words that we're using to talk to ourselves, to talk about ourselves, to think about ourselves, and breaking it down by the words, and being in that observer mindset, and understanding too that our words have vibration, our words have frequency, and when we
You,
change our words, we're changing our story. And also knowing that we're living in we're living from the stories that we're telling ourselves, that are typically putting ourselves into a fight or flight, right? So
mm,
we are carrying these stories, we're viewing the world through the lens of these stories, and not just the lens of the stories, But the one perspective out of the infinite perspectives that there are,
Yeah.
we've chosen one perspective and we've made it mean something about us,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
We've attached meaning. So when we do story work, the story work that I do, first we play with our language and we play with words and are how the words are um, changing our feeling, our somatic in our body, right? So playing with words like I should slow down feels heavy,
Mm,
shameful. It
mm,
doesn't feel actionable.
mm.
And then upgrading it, I could slow down. Okay, that does feel more possible. And then it's also giving your brain something to go accomplish because our brain is such a tool that we don't use it because we don't understand. I mean, through meditation, yes, and things, but using your language to reprogram your brain, the tool that you see reality through,
It
by
wants a job.
it wants a
Yeah.
job. So
Yeah.
shifting, I should slow down. I could slow down. Okay. More possible. And then upgrading it just a little more. So we're moving it inch by inch and really feeling how it's opening up the aperture, right? I can slow down. Okay. Okay. I will slow down. And then if you also add a reason, so we talk about our why and we have to have our why. Well, when we have buy-in from our brain, it's like sending it out on turbo, right? So it's giving it a reason and it's really going to go out and seek and it'll start showing you ways. So if you change it from I should slow down, I could slow down, I can slow down, I will slow down because I know there's more to this life that want to experience. All of a sudden, your brain is showing you ways that you can slow down. And how
It's
easy
like
was
an
that?
evidence detector. Yeah.
Exactly. And how
Yeah.
easy was that, right? When the stories typically were in
The amygdala.
amygdala hijack,
Yeah.
right? We're in this fear and we can just see this limited vision, this limited view.
Yeah.
And we're
Like
going around
horse
looking
blinders. Yeah.
totally. And we're going around looking for evidence of these things like I'm not worthy. And,
Right.
we're just like telling our brain, show me evidence of like
I
all
don't
these terrible
belong.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then you're
So,
just going to find
mhm.
more of it.
Yeah,
Totally.
because your brain is not attaching judgment to good or bad. It's going, she wants to show more about how she's a loser. you
Yeah.
know,
Like it's just like a computer on its programming. Yes. The
totally.
algorithm.
Totally. So we play with the energy of our words. And then the real work that is so beautiful is in the 4-step story work process, where we take a story that haunts us, hurts us, or
Oof.
annoys us,
Oof.
right? And maybe stay away from haunt for your first one.
Oh, I'm saying oh because I love it.
I
I'm like, oh, that's such a good word. Oh my God, like haunts you. Like you just feel you know what that is. We all have that.
the thing that's keeping you up at night, the
Yeah.
thing that you keep going back to get the cortisol hit, to get the
Yes.
fix, right? The
Yep.
thing that you said, the thing that happened, the thing that you missed, or, these things
Oh, I
go,
was abandoned. I was abandoned.
this victim story. And this is the thing. Like the true epidemic in this world is victim mentality. Victim mentality is coming
Yes,
in
yes.
and robbing us of our joy and robbing us of our opportunity and robbing us of seeing all these beautiful opportunities in the world around us. And what we do is we take that story, any story, you can start with, I was cut off in traffic on the way here, or I said something wrong, anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can take that story, you give it a title.
Like
So
they don't like me.
they don't like me, right? But you get your pen, you get your paper, because our thoughts are running so quickly through our heads. It's racing thoughts all the time. And it's typically repeated racing thoughts. So we need to
Hmm.
slow down, back to the turtle, back to the slowing down.
Love it.
We grab our pen, grab our paper, give it a title, like you're titling a movie. You then write it conversationally, write it out. I was standing here. I was waiting. This happened. This was said. You write it down. Just get it down on paper, like you're telling the story.
Mhm.
Then you really tune into your body. Where is it? How big is it? Give it a number from 0, can't feel it, to 10, absolutely unbearable.
Wow.
Then you read your story out loud. All right. And you feel again, what happened? Did it move? Did it shift? Is it bigger? Is it smaller? Then you read it again out loud, 70% slow,
Mm.
intentionally slowing it down.
Wow.
And you, again,
Uh,
and then this is the clincher. You read it at 70% slow once more,
okay.
adding a full inhale and a full exhale between each sentence, which, as you know, our breath is really a bridge between fight or flight, or rest and digest. We're really down regulating and slowing down our nervous system, because what can't we do when we're in fight or flight? We can't learn. Our brain
Mm.
is not open to another perspective.
Yeah.
So by adding that breath and descending the breath into the belly and lowering our nervous system, we're widening the aperture so we can see many different perspectives to the
Yeah.
same story.
Yeah.
And it can shift. This work can release years of trauma, years of a story that you're attached to, that we're living our life by, that everyone, if you are, as we know, if you are in a room or you grow up side by side with someone and you experience the same thing, someone else has experienced something completely different.
Yeah.
So by accessing this this more regulated nervous system state, you're able to tap into another perspective or make a different meaning about it
Mm.
to you. So something as simple as, I can't believe he did this to me. I can't
Right.
believe that happened to me. I can't believe he did this to me. To a couple word change, a couple letter changes. I can't believe he did this to him.
Ooh.
Wow. What did
Ooh.
happen to him? What was
Girl.
that perspective? Right. Then it's a new story. Or, my mom never paid attention to me. What was she paying attention to? Well, my dad was an alcoholic and it was hard to get him out the
My
door every
brain is
morning.
exploding.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, yes.
This is
So
so fucking powerful.
that is,
Dana, I think everyone needs to take this. Is it a course? It's just one-on-one?
well,
Like, how do you do it?
I do one-on-one as of now. I'm putting together a course where we're tying together the intentional quieting down our minds and accessing this wisdom, and accessing the wisdom of our subconscious after doing the story work and after opening the aperture, so we can, and doing this in a group setting. It's so powerful.
I feel it. I
We
feel it. When you're walking me through it just now, I was like, this is transformative. Like, I already feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we learned so much in school. Like, we learn about grammar and punctuation, and we don't learn about how powerful the words we use impact our imagination, our reality, our emotions, our posture, our breath.
Yeah.
And it's so incredibly powerful. I've had so many shifts using this work, and even on the tiniest scale of just observing what I'm thinking, and knowing that when I would take a thought and just let it carry me down a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had these instances where I'm like, I'll have a thought and I'll just be going down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, wait. Is there another way to think about this? Is there another perspective that I'm missing? And taking a deep breath, and then, instead of, a thought about my husband not doing something I wanted him to do the way I want him to do it, I'm remembering that he's my partner,
Yeah.
and we're in this together and we're co-creating. And all of a sudden I'm able to appreciate him and appreciate the life we have, versus how he might have folded a shirt differently than I would have.
I know because I feel like so much of that is programming that we are taking on ancestrally. Like, because I saw my mom getting mad at my dad or my
Hmm.
stepdad. I saw my mom doing this thing she does every time before she teaches a Reiki class where she gets like really controlling and hyper vigilant and like tense and everyone's scared.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Yeah.
wow, why am I doing that every time I prepare for a Reiki class? Like, I mean, how is this helpful?
Right, right, right. I know. And even knowing about how our bodies can also have what 13 generations of memory.
Wow.
So accessing not only trauma memory but also wisdom memory, and
Mm,
we're here because our ancestors and our parents were able to find joy and love for each other and find food and shelter and all of these natural survival techniques that they've had to endure. It's all part of us,
I
as
love
well
that
as the fear,
perspective.
as well as the trauma.
I love that perspective. It's like we have a comfortable seat at the table because of the way that they actually learned to survive. So it's like not just looking at it as a negative, but like, oh wow, I'm actually existing because they figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
And
good.
I really believe that our role is to continue to evolve that from, these this fear that they've had to feel that, they were hunted and they were hunting and they were doing these things, and we don't have that. So we need to calm the wolf down
Yeah.
and evolve our brains and evolve the fact that we are not our brains. We
I
are
mean,
so
I
much
like to
more.
call it like Mama Bear came out because Mama Bear comes out and it's not pretty. It is not pretty.
Totally, totally, totally. And we know the power of our subconscious, right? Like we know. So for instance, I studied RRT for a little bit too, rapid resolution technique, which is a beautiful technique, which you're speaking directly to subconscious. And I love the way that this gentleman describes it is, take a rabbit, and there's a rabbit in a field with carrots everywhere. Carrots are just everywhere. And all of a sudden there's a wolf. Well, the rabbit gets his jaw gets tighter, legs get faster, can't see carrot anywhere. You're like, what? You're like, rabbit, what about the carrots? What carrots? I don't see any carrots, right? And and then once the wolf goes away, carrots are back. Carrots are everywhere. Where the
Wow.
right and the difference between so when we're in fight or flight, we can't see the things that are just out in plain sight because we are conjuring. We're like, what about the wolf? There's a wolf. There's a wolf. And the difference between a rabbit and us is the rabbit will forget about the wolf. It will not hold a memory or bring it back. It'll be like, what wolf? That wolf is, I don't see a wolf. All I see are
Mm.
carrots. Yet we humans have the ability to conjure up this wolf whenever we want. So we're doing this like disappearing act with the abundance in our life where we're like, wolf, 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 everything beautiful is out of my reach, out of my sight. Yeah, unaccessible. So
I've
learning
never
to
heard
calm
that
down. Yeah.
analogy before, Dana. That's brilliant. You're
I
blowing
can't take
my
credit
mind
for it.
today.
Okay.
Please keep going.
I can't take credit for it, but it's it's been such a wonderful journey to start to look at my mind as a tool and
Yeah.
start to look at my body as a tool.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if you hear my dog outside of my
Oh,
room.
I don't
She's
I don't actually
wants
hear
to come in
that.
so bad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yesterday it was
starting.
cats. Yesterday on
Oh
my
God,
interview it was cats. Today it's dogs. It's good. It's good.
the animals
Yeah.
want to get involved,
Yeah.
and we're talking animals. So yeah, but I really do believe that we're in this lifetime to evolve beyond fear. And what can we do? Like, who would we be? That's the such an important question. Who would I be without fear?
Right. Yeah.
And who would I be without fear? And I think those of us that are having these conversations, doing this work for ourselves, we are evolving we're helping consciousness evolve into getting up to speed on where we are. We are not being chased by wolves, tigers, and lions and bears.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when you said that, immediately I was like, but fear's a tool. We need the fear. There was an immediate knee-jerk reaction to it. And then I'm like, well, recently I did think about this being motivated by love and intention as opposed to being
Mm.
motivated by fear. And it's a very different energy. And so
Mm.
I think it's not that fear is ever going to completely disappear because we need it. It's
Mhm.
always going to be there at some points.
Mhm.
But like, I love the exercise of, well, how am I holding myself back unnecessarily?
Mhm.
Right? That's the point
Yeah.
of it, isn't it? Of what
Mhm.
you're
And
saying?
totally. And how does the story change if I see it through love versus fear?
Yeah.
And how do these things that happen to us for us, how does that change? How does the meaning behind it change when I go back and see it through the lens of love
Hmm.
versus fear?
Hmm.
It's so it's so beautiful and it's so powerful. And if we can all love ourselves and love the stories that we tell ourselves and love to change the stories that it make meaning. I mean, we're meaning making machines. And I love, well, we are just our brains are, we're just meaning making machines. We want to connect the dots and attach meaning. Well, why not attach a loving meaning,
Oh, yeah.
an expansive meaning? I
Yeah.
mean, why not?
Yeah. Because the experience is going to be so much better. And then you snowball in a positive direction.
Yeah.
And then you see more and more and more of the magic and the miracles and the synchronicities. And then you get more evidence and more proof for the brain and your
Mhm.
gut and your heart to say, oh, actually, life can be fun and life can be good and life can be exciting. And then we're like, oh, maybe it's safe to feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the wolf shows up and you're like, thank you, wolf, for reminding me to check in and tune in with myself and look, look beyond you to all the carrots and know that you're at a distance. You're not going to get me. I'm good. I'm good. Totally.
I'm interested in this conversation about tuning into news and not
Mm.
turning into news because, yes, of course, we can't just live in a bubble, but also really being discerning. Because
Mhm.
I think one of our biggest addictions is tuning into information that's actually not serving the world. Because unless you are a reporter or someone who's in politics or someone who's journaling, like a journalist, like,
Mhm.
or you're gonna go out there and do something about it, not just post about it.
Right.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Who is it serving? And I mean, that is a question that I ask myself a lot, right? Like me getting, me feeling an emotional response to something I hear in the news in a negative way. Who is that serving? How am I helpful to anyone feeling overwhelmed and out of control? And who is that serving really? And also knowing that news has changed. I mean, the news that used to be news when I was a kid,
Mm,
when we were younger, was so different. I mean,
mm,
I worked in advertising for 20 years, and advertisers knew advertisers have known, to get into the psychology and prompt an emotion. And
yep.
it's just been in the past, what, like 40, 50, maybe even more recent,
Hmm.
that media outlets and news outlets are catching on to this and wanting to provoke emotion versus just deliver data, non-biased information.
Hmm.
There's music and colors and headlines. I mean, everybody's out to provoke an emotion
Well, yeah,
or
they want to
Mhm.
grab your attention. It's an attention economy, right? So everyone
Yes.
needs your attention. So it's like tuning into the support and the love of the universe. If you're someone whose mission is to be a lighthouse, if you're someone whose mission is to bring more love and less poison.
And can, if you can, um, understand that everybody and everything is a teacher for you and a teacher for us. And if someone is triggering or is make conjuring, no one can make you feel anything, right? But if someone is prompting you to feel negativity, it's like, thank you, this is something that I need to look into for myself. And
Hmm.
remembering
Hmm.
that, I mean, I like to remember that you are God, like you are God playing Siri. You are God pretending to be Siri, and I am God pretending to be Dana. And everyone, even those that we don't align with and agree with, are all that. There's no creation does not make mistakes. So, right there, we're all playing our own frequency in this beautiful song. Um, so
Speaking of song and
yes,
frequency, let's
yes,
talk about the sound
yes,
bowls.
yes. Let's that.
How
Yes.
did that, I mean, you did talk about your one of your first experiences.
Yeah.
So how has this journey evolved for you now? And I mean, let me just say, when I experience your sound bath, it's so peaceful, it's so calming, it's so beautiful, it's so magical, it's so mystical, it's so divinely timed. And I've experienced it by laying down and feeling it and being in it. And I've also experienced watching you. And watching you is fascinating because it is very intuitive and you're just literally tuning into
Mhm.
like the rhythm and the vibration and where do I need to tap next. And it's beautiful watching you.
Thank
And I
you.
know you recently got a new baby in your sound bowl family, and that's so beautiful. I want to hear more. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, thank you for that. It's so interesting because, like I said, I've been living in my masculine. I'm in my, I feel I'm in my masculine so much of the time. And when I offer sound healing, I really feel it's such a tool for me to step into my feminine and be a receiver. It's really one of the biggest opportunities in my life that I feel I'm in a receiving mode. So it's really beautiful to hear that that's how you experience it as well. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. That I'm so honored to receive those words. So yeah, it's really an interesting, funny, synchronistic story. I shared that I experienced my first sound bath in 2020, and I came to right, and I was like, I need that. I mean, 2020 was just high anxiety, where we remember the world we were living
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
so much fear and
Yeah.
so much anxiety.
Yeah.
And
Talk
I,
about tuning into that. I mean,
oh,
oh
right.
God,
Oh
so
yeah.
much
I mean,
fear.
it had
And
me,
separation,
all of it. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I was like, I need that all the time. What was that? And I was going to sound baths every chance I could.
Mm.
And then fast forward a couple of years, I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and she said, "Oh gosh, I'm late. I gotta go. I'm going to a private sound bath tonight for a date night." And I said, "Oh yeah. I can't wait to hear all about it. Tell me all about it." So later that night, she had a story up on Instagram, and in this story, she spans the living room where she's receiving the sound bath, and it is the living room that my husband and I lived in
Crazy,
10 years prior in 2012. I
crazy.
mean, I mean, what are I was like, is that my living room? Are you serious?
That stuff is so nuts when yes, keep going. Okay.
Right. It's like, can I get a sign your sign? And
Yeah.
I'd been teaching hot boot camp and hot fitness at a yoga studio. And I'd been, and just like continuing in this masculine, right? But I'd been seeking out sound baths and this quiet within me and receiving so much wisdom. And then here I am witnessing my good friend receiving a sound bath in the living room I lived in 10 years ago. So I'm
Crazy.
like, okay.
It was always meant to be. It's full
I
circle.
mean,
All these
right.
full circle moments with you. Yeah.
Totally full circle. And so then we went to a sound bath in the house. I mean, in this house I'll share was a home that we lived in when we first moved to the area. We were newly married. We didn't really know anyone here on Central Coast, California. We just kind of took a leap of faith and we uprooted from family and friends in LA and moved to this little town. So it was a really special place for us. We hosted so many friends and family that have then, now since have passed away. My beautiful mother-in-law, my stepfather,
Wow.
so it was a very special home for us. And going back there to experience the sound bath was so wild. I mean,
I can
it
only
was
imagine.
it was like muscle memory
Time
being in the
warp.
house. Totally. It was like muscle memory being in the house, and the light switches are the same and the fixtures but the energy was totally different. I was totally different.
Like collapsing
All
timelines. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. And it was like we're such different people. Since we lived there, I'm almost going to be 7 years sober from alcohol in September.
Woohoo.
Woo. I've lost 90 pounds,
Wow.
had 2 kids. I never would have imagined myself sound healing and offering coaching and the things that I'm doing now. I never
In
could
a
have even
teepee.
in a teepee. I mean, I never could have. So so yeah, that experience I'll share because it's such a beautiful story. Is we went to this house and it took a little bit of like, should we go?
Hmm.
But we decided to go. So we went to this house, and as we're settling into the sound bath, um, I could feel myself I was just agitated. I couldn't settle in. I just wanted to look around and snoop around and, just be in my house.
Yeah.
So to settle in, I asked myself, well, I want to remember who was the girl that lived here.
Wow.
What was she? Yeah. Like, what were the stories that were haunting her, hurting her, annoying her? What was she keeping her up at night? What was I paying attention to?
Wow.
And I remembered that I was 35 and my mother-in-law had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Mm.
And I was hyper focused on having a baby. She didn't have a grandbaby. I was hyper
Hmm.
focused on having a baby, hyper
Hmm.
focused on getting a promotion.
Mm.
And I was so stressed, all the
Those two
things,
things in conjunction, forget it. It's
right?
like too
I
much.
mean, right. And when for anyone that has, tried to have a baby and it's been,
Oh
you feel,
yeah, been there.
yeah, right. You're like, gosh, I'm really not in control. And the windows and the like little moments, you're like, oh, I'm losing. And I was 35. So I'm getting all these outside messaging that now
Yep.
or never, right? All these things.
Yeah.
And I had this beautiful moment in the sound bath. Once I settled in, I had this beautiful moment of 45-year-old me that was there physically in the living room, traveling back to 35-year-old me and getting to sit down with that girl and say, it is so good. It is so much better than what you are worrying for it to be. You have 2 children and life is so beautiful. And enjoy this time.
Right.
Enjoy this time.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that was so beautiful. So what does 55-year-old me need
Right.
to tell me now? Same message. It is so good. You can't
Mm.
even see it, how good it is. You can't even see it. And that experience gave me I mean, I already talk about perspective and story work and mindset coaching, but to have this like very real moment of perspective of the older, wiser woman and the younger woman that desperately wanted what I have now, I find myself pulling all those perspectives in when I need them, like when parenting is hard or I'm trying to make a decision and I'm like, I need my team. I need this woman and I need this girl who, I need you to help me be present right now. And it was such a profound experience. And to have that experience physically in a space that was,
Yeah, it's you literally were revisiting her.
it
That's
was
you
so,
created that. You created it.
it was so wild. And then I'm like, I don't need a sign or sign. I need to learn this. So really with the intention of learning this modality of sound healing for myself and my family, I went to a training that happened to be in my old house with this beautiful couple, John and Natalie of Let's Get Tuned. I went to they live in my house, in my old house.
Oh my
It's not
gosh.
mine anymore. It's never was and it never will be, but they live in the space that I also lived in. And I went to their sound healing training and got to learn this beautiful modality in my old home. And then when we arrived, they said, you guys are part of a super special group because this is the last offering we're having in this house. We're opening a
Whoa.
studio next couple months. And so now they have a beautiful sound and yoga studio. And I got to learn this in my old house. And then
That's nuts.
I learned it in my old house. And then 1 year to the day of me receiving this tool and how to share this beautiful modality, I was on stage at Kathy's event in front of,
To the
you
day?
the exact day, the
Oh my
exact day.
God.
I know.
Dana, that's
Can't make it up.
insane.
Like I said, it's like has been such a scavenger hunt that I could never, looking back, I could never have placed these breadcrumbs.
Do you remember what was the date of that?
May 20th and 21st.
Okay,
Because
so that's like a
Mhm.
special time for you. Okay.
And my birthday's May 10th. So I gifted myself
Oh,
this, and I gifted myself the sound healing training as a birthday gift. And then, and then to the day, I mean, if someone, this is just the craziness. If someone were to show me a picture, okay, first of all, if someone were to say to me, 2012, Dana, stressed out about having a baby and, all the things. And if someone were to show me a picture of me receiving a sound bath in that same house, 90 pounds lighter and with two children, happily married, all the things. And then if someone were to show me a picture of me on stage, I'm sitting in the house receiving the sound healing and like, here's where you're going to be in a year.
yeah.
But I really feel that the work I've been doing and the mindset intention and opening up my aperture to all of the miracles that are always around us, I would never have been able to access these little breadcrumbs of synchronicity to follow and trust these things. So it's been a journey. It's been a beautiful journey. And
Amazing. I love how when Kathy talks about it's not about what certificate or degree or where someone went to school, but it's about look at their life.
mm,
Like, show me your life and I'll tell you if I want to work with you.
mm.
And everything you just described is like, can I sign up for that? Yes, please. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Such proof.
yeah.
You're such walking proof of the work you do. It's
Thank you.
beautiful.
And no life, as we know, there's no perfect life, and we're all work joy and seeking the joy and knowing that it's all unfolding for me. Um, helps, really helps. Getting out of the victim mentality and
Yeah.
taking, agency over my life, my thoughts, how I'm perceiving life.
Hmm. Well, I want to just sprinkle in at the end here because this is called the authentic creative, expanding our capacity to feel good.
Mhm.
So, could you speak to, for the people listening, what does it mean to you, Dana, to be an authentic creative? Let's start there, and then I want to
Mm.
And then I want to touch into the piece about expanding the capacity to feel good, which we already kind of touched into.
Hmm. For me, being an authentic creative is sitting in that feminine, trusting and receiving the wisdom that's within me, that's around me, without judgment or logic or trying to force it or figure it out. And this is a minute by minute practice sometimes, right? It's, one day at a time, it's 1 minute at a time, it's one thought at a time. Um, and we're all creative. We're all creating. We're all manifesting and creating are synonymous for me. We're all creating. So we're all creative. My mom has this terrible habit of using her words against herself and saying, I'm not creative. I don't create anything. I wasn't
Mm,
born creative. And it's like,
mm.
you created me, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And knowing, yeah, just
Yeah.
trusting that my thoughts and trusting that the things that are coming in, where do ideas come from? I think Kathy also we talk about like ideas are the true abundance. And, where do they come from? When you're in the shower and something pops into your mind, like, where did that come from? We
Like
are creating.
Einstein or the
Yeah.
Buddha. It's like all
Yes.
these are just these spontaneous moments when we're meditating or when we're
Yeah.
just going about it in flow with in rhythm with the universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then expanding your capacity to feel good. What does that mean to you right now? Expanding
Mm,
your capacity to feel good.
I'm really working on that. And I'm first and foremost expanding my capacity to feel good is coming to terms with my addiction to chaos and cortisol and
Ooh,
drama and
ooh.
control.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So noticing and having, thinking about my thinking and noticing my thinking and noticing when my brain, everything is good. I'll be in a situation, everything's good. Everybody's fed, everybody's happy, everyone's right, everybody's good. And all of a sudden, right, I'm like, what do I need to worry about? What about this? What about this?
Yes.
And stopping that in its tracks, taking a deep breath and reminding myself that all is well. I am safe. I am home. I don't need that addiction to cortisol. It's like I shook my addiction to alcohol. I can shake this addiction to cortisol by 1 minute at a time, one thought at a time. And once I can release myself, like look at my addiction, release myself from it, don't make it mean something about me, but just see it for what it is. It's just a bad habit that I have. And then choose another thought that
Mm.
will expand my joy, expand my experience.
Yeah, I love that. It's like finding the neutrality when we observe it, because that's really interesting when I notice the dip or I notice
Mhm.
the wounded child thoughts. And I just allow myself to notice without the layer of judgment. That's where
Mhm.
I'm at with it.
Mm.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
yesterday was a little funky, Mercury retrograde energy. And I know you had that happening too.
Yeah.
How old are your kids again?
So my little guy is about to be 7 later this month, and then my daughter just turned 9.
Yeah, 7 and 9. Yeah. So they're like independent, but they still need you. Yeah.
Yes, yes, very much so. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, that neutrality and that observer mindset and just the curious mindset when that victim story comes in. And the two questions that I like to offer that I've already offered, but two questions to offer when those thoughts come in are, what did I make that mean about me?
Mm. Hmm.
And um and who am I without that story? Or
Right.
who would I be with a different story?
Those are really powerful. Wow. Yeah.
And the slowing down, oh my gosh, like the turtle was so Just so perfect. It's the slowing down. It's in, we don't, my husband and I make jokes because I want to move so fast and I want to like carry all the groceries in one trip and then
Are you, I mean, what is your human design?
manifesting generator.
Okay. I'm like,
Yes.
okay.
Man Gen 2-4.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Man Gen 25.
Yeah, we're so similar. That's
Yeah.
so cool. And it's like, when things are getting I'll be rushing in and I'll drop something and my husband's always like, "Well, that didn't save you any time."
Trying to skip those steps, girl. And you're like, gotta go back. I know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's
Well,
just such a good reminder to slow down. What are we in a rush for? We're all rushing to the same place. We're all going, to the same place. There's no rush. Yes.
that reminds me so much of this song.
Oh, let's hear it.
Oh my God. I don't know if I can find it. Okay, maybe I can find it. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Wait for it. Can she find it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, but let me just share my screen. Advanced computer,
Okay.
share, and then do I have it? I think it's this one.
We all running in the same race.
Yes.
You know this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Here for a minute, yeah. So everybody slow down. Your life is beautiful. Let's all take a moment now. Let's just try to breathe it in. Let's go get some feelings out. Let's try to remember what it felt like to be young and free. Yeah, those days are gone, but there'll be better ones ahead, you'll see. And it's been on my mind, it's been on my mind. It takes up all my time, oh yeah, all my time. And we've been searching for some things that we may never find. But in the end, yeah, I know it's all love. We all running in the same race. Ain't nobody winning. We only here for a minute. So
Everybody slow down.
Yes.
Yes, guys. Okay.
We got to dance.
Dana, I love you so
Love
much.
you, Siri. I love you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for all those mind-blowing, powerful, head-tingling, body-chilling, waking me up from the inside insights. Like really, truly, that was just like a therapy session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for receiving me. Thank you for sharing space and inviting me. And it's like literally
Always.
such an honor to be here talking to you anytime.
Always. You're an eternal soul sister. I love you. Thank you. You guys go to Dana's at Dana Schmit underscore, right?
Yep. Or danaschmidt.com is my little spot on the interwebs.
Okay. Okay. And check her out and stay tuned for what she's got coming up because it's going to be magic wherever she is, whatever she's doing. We know it. All right. Love you guys. See you soon.